You know, probably from the beginning of time, mankind has tried to leave a legacy behind, tried to leave a mark in the world. Down here in southern Utah, we have a lot of petroglyphs, carvings in rock that remove the first layer of rock and show a lighter color underneath. There are a lot of them, they're everywhere. So it's very interesting. I've taken some time to go and see some of these places. They're very interesting. I think it's a yearning, even back then, of people trying to leave behind something, some mark. They've been here. So I had some impact in the world. What are we trying to do? What legacy are you trying to leave behind? How are you trying to leave the world a better place? And how does, dating, marriage, and children fulfill that desire for a legacy? I think if you're successful as a good husband and father, wife and mother, you have an opportunity to leave that mark behind, that legacy. So it's just like to spend a few minutes and talk about leaving that mark behind. So dating, yeah, the first place to start when you're thinking about dating and dating to marry, since it's such a huge decision, the first place to start is to start with you. What can I do? What are the things that I can improve on to find the best possible person? You need to become the best possible person that you can. Take an inventory. I mean, sit down at a table, kind of make a list. What do I bring to a relationship? If someone's considering dating me, what assets can I bring to that relationship? Why would someone be excited to have me as a husband or father or as a wife and a mother? And basically comes down to the list I shared the week before. We need to be examples of someone that's disciplined and determined. And some things to think about as you're making this list and as you're trying to improve upon the things that you have in your life. If you look at your finances, say you're 19, 20, 21, you lived at home all of your life or majority of your life. What have you done? What have you done with your time? What assets do you have? Do you have money set aside? Do you have savings? Do you know how to save money? Or are you just really good at Halo? I can use my thumbs really good for texting and games. Uh, I know that's not the case. Hopefully, that's not the case. Um, but yeah, you've had a number of years. What have you developed? Do you have good, healthy habits for eating well, having good sleep habits, exercise habits, where you're disciplined, determined, and it's an everyday thing, and you don't miss, even when you don't feel so good and you don't feel like getting up early. It's an everyday thing. You're disciplined, you're determined. Do you have values? Can you stand apart from the crowd when your friends are going down a road that you don't agree with? Do you have the courage to stand up for what is right? I've been very impressed with one of my sons. I've seen him do it. He said, I removed that app from my phone. It was a WhatsApp app. My friends were being crazy. They were being stupid. So I just took it off my phone. And I've heard him, as friends have come over, they'd be talking. He would tell them, stop, you're being crazy. He doesn't have a hard time telling his friends to straighten up. That's a great value. That's a great standard to have. In a job, are you disciplined and determined, or do you give up when your job gets hard? You come home and just complain the whole time instead of focusing on moving up in life and developing your skills and getting a better job. You just complain. Do you know how to work hard? Morally and socially, are you the type of person that would be 100% faithful to a spouse, not only in your actions, but in your thoughts? Totally faithful. Priorities. Are you able to determine and be disciplined in putting family needs first instead of your own needs? Time management. Are you disciplined with your time and prioritizing at work? What's the most important thing to do right now? Even when you get home, what's the most important thing I can do right now before I turn on the TV? So what are some of the things you bring to the table? Maybe here's a list, besides your assets, what's in your bank account. These might be some other things. So as far as making a plan, if you're still in high school, I think it's great now to start right now. Or if you're not, if you're beyond that, start today. Make a plan. What if you don't know what you want to do for a career? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Well, start figuring it out. Put the time in. There's a lot of resources. Go to the career counseling center at the schools. I believe they still have those. Take some online career assessments where they kind of do some testing and they can tell you what your aptitudes are, what you're inclined towards, what you would be good at. I think there's some value there. Go to job fairs. I went to a job fair just a few months ago with the bank. It was a great opportunity. I was at a booth promoting jobs in banking. And right next to me, the Forest Service had a ton of jobs with the Forest Service for people that want to be outside and do stuff. Uh, and all around this auditorium, there must have been 50 different companies represented. Go to job fairs, go to a lot of them, do some research. If you're not comfortable going alone, go with your parents, go with a buddy, collect as much information as you can, figure out what sounds interesting, talk to people about their careers they've had that you might be interested in. Job shadow, come in. I'd be glad if someone said, hey, I'm interested in banking. Do you mind if I spend the day with you? Sure, come on in. I'd be glad to help. And so would most people. Apply for internships. That's a good opportunity to get to see what it's really like. Talk to mentors or parents or others, what they did and didn't like about their jobs. Talk to your mom, talk to your dad. What do they like about their jobs? What don't they like? What do they wish they would have done? There's so much opportunity for you. What has worked in the past is not going to work any longer. I got a degree at the University of Utah. It was very generic. It was a business management degree. I was lucky, kind of fell into a job. It doesn't work anymore. You can't just go with the flow. That's not going to work. You spend thousands of dollars to get out of school and have nothing. You won't have a job. It doesn't work. You got to do something different. So, how do you prepare? Let's say you're preparing for a job interview or a new career. Of course, you've got to update a resume. You've got to do your homework on researching the company. Eventually, in a job interview, they will ask, do you have any questions? Have questions prepared. Do some research. When I was interviewing with a very large credit union, I had spent days reviewing their financials online and coming up with questions about, why this happened or why that, why our numbers have changed. And so I'm educated, I'm interested, I want to know more. I want to provide some of my views to see if it would help their financials. What skills do each of these jobs require that you're interested in? What skills or what certifications do you need? Do the research, put in the time, developing those skills if you don't have those or those certifications. While I was working for Utah Power Credit Union, of course, it's affiliated with Rocky Mountain Power. That's the majority power company here in Utah. And I got to know some of these power line repairmen or linemen. They were some tough dudes. And I tell you, they made a ton of money repairing power lines and equipment. They would go out when the weather is terrible, snowing, windy, blowing, raining, hurricane force winds have blown over power lines. Really difficult weather, but they'd have a ton of overtime. There's some hazard pay. They will teach you this trade at one of the local community colleges. When I looked into it for one of my sons, I think it was about $7,000. But the return that you would get on that money was well worth every penny you pay. Once you get their certifications, you could go almost anywhere in the country and find a very well-paying job. Another one, when I was learning or trying to get my pilot's license, I learned about AMPs, aircraft mechanics The maintenance programs, these repairmen make a ton of money because the lives of passengers on these planes and helicopters are in their lives or in their hands. And so just a couple examples. But I mean, what do you like to do? I mean, sit down, explore, make a list. You like to work with your hands? Do you want to work in an office? You want to be working sales or outside? You know, I've always been inside an office, working with people, lately with skill sales. And, you know, I've been doing some work at home lately, some painting and some things. And I was surprised there is a lot of satisfaction in standing back and looking at a job well done. If you're that type of person that wants to work your hands, learn the trade, the electrical, the plumbing, the painting, the tile, flooring, finish work. Matter of fact, I'll put this in the description field. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has as you can see there, that link, not only construction, but a bunch of different jobs and how much they pay, how many people in the career in that field, how many were hired. Just a great resource. So look at that website. Of course, building homes, stand backs, the satisfaction of building a home. I've got a friend that's a machinist. He just recently built an oil burner. It's just a crazy, he's got a garage, very large garage. So in the winter, it gets very cold. He built this machine. He takes people's used motor oil and it goes into a big metal drum. It sprays this, atomizes this oil, and then it ignites it and heats up these drums and these pipes coming out of the drum. And he can heat his whole garage with free fuel. People are almost willing to pay you to take their used motor oil. This guy's amazing. He can build just about anything. And the satisfaction he gets from that kind of stuff is it's cool. Learn how to do that. There's so many options. It's so exciting. You guys have such an amazing opportunity to get to know, you know, to learn some of these things and so great opportunities. So do you like working with people? You know, do you like working in sales where you've got a thick skin? You can be told no 100 times for that one person who says, yeah, I've been looking for, you know, a construction loan. Yeah, I've been looking for a mortgage loan. Can you help me? And then you get a payday. But do you have thick skin? You can go through all the no's to get the one yes. And there's usually get paid a lot more money because you're willing to do that. Most people don't like it. So, like I say, working in an office, air conditioned, heated, sometimes that's nice behind a computer, but some people want to be outside. And there's great opportunities, like I said, with Forest Service and other BLM, Bureau of Land Management people. So if you've got a plan, stick to it. Once you make a decision and have a path, stick to it. Unless you decide to change a plan for good reason, stick to that revised plan. And so when you start dating somebody for the purpose of getting married, you can share this information with this person and what kind of perspective or how do you think they'll feel about you? How would your date feel? How would her parents feel? How would your family and friends feel? This is what I want to do. I've picked a local community college. I'm halfway through their course. I will be a lineman. I'll be starting at X amount, $70,000, $80,000 after I get my certifications. I'll be able to work. I've already got offers from these different power companies. They're going to be impressed. You've got a plan. You know what you're doing. You're not just playing video games for no money. One of the things that's very important, I think, is as you go into some of these interviews, anticipate the questions that they might ask, or even when you're meeting with, a soon-to-be spouse or a date's family, and they ask, well, what are your plans? What do you enjoy doing? What do you do for work? And basically it comes down to how are you going to support my daughter? Matter of fact, I had um, a brother-in-law, his daughter's getting married, and so his soon-to-be son-in-law came to ask him for permission to marry his daughter. And so he asked him, hey, "So why do you want to marry my daughter?" And his reply was, "Uh, I don't know. Can I get back to you?" Think about the question. I mean, uh, not the best answer. So have some good answers. Think beforehand, before you're in a situation, what the questions might be. Anticipate questions so you have good answers. Um, it applies to jobs when you start at a high paying job and there's a lot of stress. One of the things that I had to face was going to monthly board meetings. We've got a board of directors. There was 7 or 8 of those people. Then we have the executive staff. So I had the president of the credit union and then all the other vice presidents sitting at this big long table in this big room. Chairman of the board, of course, was there. So there was probably, you know, 10, 15 people and very professional people. And I'd worked with boards before where it was kind of low key. This was not the case. They were very intense. They were not afraid to call you on the carpet and see, if you're kind of bluffing your way through or just uh, kind of winging it, it doesn't work. So one of the things I would do before every single monthly meeting is I was look at all the data I was to present to this board and think about every possible question someone could ask. Why did our credit card balances suddenly go down from month to month? Why did we make more money last year in car loans than this year? How is the promotion on the mortgage loans being received? Every possible question. So when I prepare for days and days. And if someone doesn't ask the question, you can always offer it up. And it's better to look educated than to say something like, well, I don't know. I mean, if you have to say it, you have to say it's better than lying. But you want to be prepared. Prepare yourself. That gives you great confidence. And I hope this helps.